When people think of Florida, sunshine and beaches come to mind. Beneath the water's surface lie Florida's beautiful coral reefs. When I was 13, I went on a snorkeling trip to see them up close, and they've captivated me ever since. They attract tourists from all over the world, but they're also the canary in the coal mine for the health of an entire ecosystem. In the Florida Keys, coral reefs are bearing the brunt of global warming. To understand more, I talked to Bailey Thomasson from the Coral Restoration Foundation about their work to help corals adapt.
Here in Florida, there's a lot going on. These poor corals have a lot against them. We have local stressors of pollution, direct hits, and tourism hits as well. And then we also have the global anthropogenic factors of ocean warming and ocean acidifications. And so we are trying to give them the best shot that we can to help them adapt to the changing oceans.
Corals play an important role, not only beneath the water, but above it too.
Coral reefs provide many services to humans, whether they live on the coast or not. The reef itself obviously provides incredible amounts of habitat for fish, which supports global fisheries. If they go, then the fish go. They also dispel up to 97% of wave energy. We have tropical storms and hurricanes hit quite often, and when those come through from offshore, they hit our coral reefs first.
The corals act as a line of defense, reducing the strength of waves heading toward our coastlines. Without the corals, the impacts could be far more destructive, affecting livelihoods and infrastructure.
Coral restoration was founded so that we could help kickstart the natural recovery cycle of coral reefs. In 2007, we collected samples of some of the last remaining colonies of elkhorn and staghorn corals, which are the two main species that we work with, and we started propagating them. Corals are wonderful, insanely intricate animals. We are now up to over 50,000 pieces of coral in our care that we grow at one time, and after they reach a certain size, we outplant them back to the reef.
I went out to get a first-hand look. Being in the water with the corals was magical. But it was hard to witness the damage. Some parts of the reefs were really struggling.
Soaring ocean temperatures off the coast of Florida, hitting well over 90 degrees, is devastating and deadly to the coral and marine life.
Due to an extreme marine heat wave that's come through the Florida Keys, the oceans are no longer, at this point in time, hospitable for the corals, and it's causing a lot of mortality and stress.
Bailey explained that when corals are stressed by heat, they expel the algae living in them and become bleached. If the temperatures don't drop quickly, they have only weeks to recover before they risk death. The extreme conditions are catastrophic for the corals.
So we had kind of started to make preparations, but we just didn't really know how bad it would be. You can see all the corals and the coral trees under the water, and all you could see was stark white corals throughout the entire nursery. That was a really, really hard day for us. We'd all been there from the start for that nursery, and we were so excited that we'd finally hit our goal. You see their growth, you see their successes, and that's why it felt like the death of a friend.
It was pretty grim to see all of this wildlife right below you just dying. You hear about this a lot, but to see it in person is a bit different.
To a lot of people, corals look like rocks. You know, how could you care so much about something? But to take care of these endangered species that could have gone extinct had restoration and implementation not stepped in, and to see it kind of go right before your eyes was heartbreaking. So we made the decision and partnered with some really wonderful organizations to move a lot of the corals that we have in our care out into land facilities so that we could control water parameters like temperature, which is the most important.
The Coral Restoration Foundation partners with the Keys Marine Laboratory to bring the corals onshore into tanks.
We had the availability of more than 60 tanks and tables, temperature controlled, so that all of our restoration partners could bring corals in to the Keys Marine Lab, get them adjusted to the cooler water that they should be experiencing on the reef, to get them cooled down, and now just to hope to keep them alive. We're basically provided a refuge for them.
They're really getting a lot of TLC in these water tanks, and we're hoping that after the waters offshore cool off, all these corals can be moved back to our offshore coral nurseries and continue with the process.
These ancient creatures, these corals that live for hundreds, if not thousands of years, are trying to tell us that there's something very wrong with the environment and with the ecosystem, and we need to listen to them.
Humanity is facing the collapse of an entire ecosystem for the first time since we've been knowledgeable about the effects that climate changes can have. This has to be the wake-up call for us because we're going to lose incredible biodiversity in the matter of years.